We've got 2 minutes.
Because I
You need to go over that. Yep. Set?
Yeah.
Okay. I'd like to call to order the Public Safety Committee meeting of Thursday, August 23rd, 2018. Can I ask for a roll call, please?
Councilor Dowdle?
Here.
Councilor Kelly?
Here.
Mayor Reed?
Here.
Councilor Armstrong?
Here.
Chief Ritter?
Here.
Chief Lawless?
Here.
Building Inspector McMahon?
Here.
All right, number 1, public comments. We'll ask any members of the public to come forward with any comments they may have. Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 2, reports from department representatives and discussion with councilors. We have on file tonight the report from the Parking Violations Bureau for July 2018. Any questions on that? Okay, item number 3. These are items brought forward from the departments to be approved by the committee and recommended to council for tonight's business meeting. Number 1, request from Police Chief Ritter to renew the contract with the Plattsburgh Housing Authority for the provision of supplemental police services by a Plattsburgh police officer September 1st, 2018 to August 31st, 2019. The total revenue for the city is billed on a monthly basis to cover the cost of our officer. There is no charge in the contract provisions or reimbursement costs from 2018. Any questions on this request?
Yes.
Yep.
I wondered about this one. How does this person work for the city of Plattsburgh Police Department?
It's a police officer, yes.
And reports to one of our lieutenants?
Yes.
Okay.
Within the structure, yes.
In the contract with the Housing Authority, do they cover all the cost, including any overtime that may be incurred?
No, it's a set amount, and I want to say it's in the area of $30,000 towards the salary of an officer.
Do we position someone there full-time, or?
May
Yes.
I add to that question?
Sure.
Just to follow up, I mean, so describe the duties in this role.
So the housing officer for the Plattsburgh Police Department is a police officer. That is a patrol officer that does interact more with the patrol side of things, but is a dedicated officer for the housing authority.
Right.
They maintain an office in the station and at the housing authority. They deal with complaints from residents of every building that's comprised of the Plattsburgh Housing Authority, from Beacon Towers all the way to the residences on Tyrell Ave. A lot of residences. They conduct the investigations into applicants for public housing, which is comprised of a background investigation, fingerprint acquisition. So that's a dedicated day once a week that applicants can come in and get fingerprinted to start that background process. They are dedicated to criminal investigations that take place on housing property. Most notably, the felony cases where somebody would say that their income is this amount and what they pay for their rent is based on that. They actually make far more, so they're cheating the system. So that officer does take those investigations.
So it's a pretty hefty caseload.
It's a fair amount of
Yeah,
work,
yeah.
definitely.
And this officer is also available for need in the community, correct? That is not
So-
related to housing authorities? So are we to say we're getting half a police officer from the housing authority?
So
in terms
without
of-
diminishing what this officer
Right.
actually does, yeah, we do utilize this officer for functions other than housing authority matters.
And this person is at the Ted K Center?
So part of their duties is hours at the Ted K Center.
Is that considered like a precinct over there? Is that, I've heard it called that, and I didn't, thought that sounded rather metropolitan.
I don't know.
Okay. And it's not Section 8 housing, it's just the Plattsburgh Housing Authority, correct?
Right.
So if there was section housing within the community, the residents there would not make use of this officer, they would make use of a community officer, correct? I mean, if they had a section, they were having housing paid for, say, on another location, off the campus of the actual housing authority, say Oak Street, if they needed to utilize a police officer, they would use the police department, not this particular item.
Sure, and this would be
Okay.
only during normal business
Right.
hours that
Okay.
this officer, would be the officer that handles those
Okay.
initial investigations, but for all matters that happen.
All right. Any
I've
other-
attended events where the designated officer for the housing authority has been present, at the Ted K Center, at meetings that the housing authority conducts. And my sense is that everybody knows this person, recognizes this person. He's an outreach person. In addition
Absolutely.
to holding down all the duties that have to do with policing.
So I would follow up that by saying one of the other things that he has really excelled in and does a lot of outreach is in the area of elder abuse.
Yep.
Mhm.
So he was recognized for a presentation that he gave, downstate to a function on the subject of elder abuse.
And if he's known at the Ted K Center, he knows all the kids, and
Yeah,
that's
one
a
of the
really
roles,
positive
absolutely.
thing.
A role model.
Yeah.
Any other?
Do you feel that we're getting our money's worth from the housing authority? Are they paying enough to,
That wouldn't be for me to say.
Well, I mean,
Okay.
we could determine that by
Well-
doing a time analysis,
yeah,
right?
how many hours he spends there and?
Yeah, I guess that's why I wouldn't be able to definitively say.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's something for, I think, the council to look at some point.
Ask for an increase in their
But
contribution.
perhaps, if it's justified. We'd like to break even on that arrangement at least, make sure that the taxpayers aren't paying any additional money that they should, so.
Understandable.
Okay.
Do we get that kind of analysis from you? Or through the housing office, or how do we account for that?
We don't.
We don't.
It's not
current-
quantifiable?
Currently, but that's just something to keep in mind for the next time we negotiate a contract
Right.
with them, I think.
How do we quantify the services so that we know that we have equitable arrangement with the housing authority?
Okay. Any
Put
other,
that on the to-do list for the future.
Thank you.
Okay.
any other questions or comments regarding item 1? No. Item 2, request from Police Chief Ritter for 3 police department employees to attend the 125th International Association for Chiefs of Police Annual Conference and Exposition in Orlando, Florida, from October 6th through 9th, 2018. The total cost will not exceed $8,788.50 and will be expensed from the Asset Forfeiture Fund. I will just ask, any overtime costs associated to this with the absence of personnel? No? Okay. Any other questions? Being none, we'll move on to item 3.
Can I just
Yes,
follow
go
up?
ahead.
I understand
Sorry.
it's a big ticket item and it usually draws, some questions. It doesn't come at a cost to the budget, it comes out of the SFO. But this really gives us an opportunity, as the ICP conference is the premier law enforcement conference where I was looking at it today just to kind of brief myself on who is going to be there and what they're going to offer. And it's endless amounts of training on a variety of different subjects. So it also is the largest vendor opportunity that we can see if there are solutions out there that can, you know, make us a little bit more cost effective.
I know one thing that we heard from prior was just when it was the expensive body cameras and all that's involved with that, and all the record keeping, and everything attached to that, and the vendors as well as those who utilize them. I just found that all very interesting to hear what was brought back from that and the cost associated. Anything else? Item number 3, request from Police Chief Ritter for one police department employee to attend the New York State Police Drug Recognition Expert Training in Latham, New York from September 10th through 14th, 2018, and September 17th through 21st, 2018. The total cost will not exceed $1,810.50 and will be expensed from the Asset Forfeiture Fund. What's the predicted balance after these expenses? Do we have an idea?
He said it was
66.
160,000?
No, 150.
Okay, so
150 now?
159?
150 now.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So after this, will be down to 140.
Okay.
And when does that get replenished?
it
Is
gets
it?
replenished at random times.
Okay, it
It's
is
not
random. Okay, I didn't know.
When seizures occur
Okay.
and then reimbursements are
Okay.
given, yes.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Item number 4, request that the mayor is authorized to sign an agreement with FLW LLC and Adirondack Coast Visitors Bureau to host FLW Tour Qualifier Fishing Tournament on June 27th through 30th, 2019. This request was previously approved on August 2nd with the tournament dates of July 27th through 30th, 19, which was an error. It's easy enough. Any questions? Number 5, request for promotions and special events coordinated Tara Powers to close the following streets for the 2018 Battle of Plattsburgh commemoration. I'm not going to read those, but they are there for our review. Any questions on those closures? Number 6, request that the mayor is authorized to sign an agreement with East Coast Watercross LLC and Adirondack Coast Visitors Bureau to hold an event August 25th through the 26th, 2018. I think we had some prior discussions about that. They're coming back with having liked Plattsburgh, and also I think they were flooded out of their other location in Watkins Glen for Seneca Lake. Any questions on that? I think we should welcome them back at least. Anything else? Ask for a roll call on moving these forward to the business meeting.
You do it first and second.
Oh, yes, first.
Make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
So let's begin the work session and
Wait a
have a bit of
minute.
extension on items on the agenda. There
Couple
may
of-
be a need for,
Couple items first, Mayor. Old business, before we conclude the
Wonderful.
meeting. Any old items of old business under item number 4? Any, number 5, any new business? I would like to mention that yesterday, I met with Chief Ritter, Dean, and the mayor, to discuss the situation of vicious dogs in the city of Plattsburgh. Where we're at with that, there's been a lot of concern voiced. I had more concerns voiced to me today at a long conversation with probably the most known victim of the most recent attack. She would have liked to have been here to talk, but they are out of town presently. And her concerns that she would have voiced to us is pretty much what we covered at our meeting yesterday. It's not so much the particular breed, although there is some discussion for that. It's the responsibility of the actual pet owner and their confinement of animals to their property. That's where they'd like the discussion to start, whether we take it any further. She's received several comments that people don't know. Oh, I didn't know I could report a dog that was acting aggressive. I didn't know. We talked about getting the education. We talked about what's on the books now, what's with the ag and market laws? When a dog is licensed, is there possibly a way to educate people at that point with information on their responsibilities? Could you just touch basically on what we presently have now and what we hope to make more well-known to the public?
As far as,
Dog containment, dogs at large.
okay, so the ordinances that exist currently,
Yes.
we have a dog at large ordinance that it requires dogs to be leashed or within a protected area, so they can't run free, like a yard, fenced-in area, so forth. They're, you know, it's pretty detailed in what it prescribes, and it was updated fairly recently, so it does read well. You're also required to license your dog in the city of Plattsburgh. Typically, that is not followed through with very efficiently by pet owners, dog owners. Usually our enforcement action takes place upon issuing a ticket for dog at large and then inquiring if the dog is licensed, and if no proof of licensing is given, we cite for that as well. But it's usually, you know, there's no efficient way of figuring out how to enforce this preemptively, other than people just being responsible dog owners, which there are a lot of. But, you know, not every dog is licensed in the city. And we're aware of it.
And in situations, we've had people come before the council. One individual comes to mind from Couch Street that spoke maybe 3 years ago, where there was a dog-on-dog attack, similar to what we've had. And then the owner, of course, is present, because you have a leash law, so the owner is with the dog. And then the owner becomes injured, whether it's intervening or simply being present, or... So dog-on-dog, is it different then, once a human is involved? Or is the human considered irresponsible for intervening between two dogs? Is there any criminality attached?
So the dangerous dog section is not a crime until a judge orders or makes the determination that the dog is dangerous, and that's through a petition or a hearing. If that were to happen a second time and it had already been deemed a dangerous dog, that is when it's charged as a misdemeanor. But up until that point, it is.
So you actually need an incident to occur before it goes before a judge, rather than just somebody being worried about this dog that's...
There are specifics that I would have to, I wouldn't do it justice by explaining it, but any unprovoked attack on either a companion animal or a person would be a triggering event for this dangerous dog hearing.
Okay.
And that's in front of a judge.
And whether that's dog, if the dog is being confined at the time, but still is able to
No,
create...
Are you talking about civil liability or criminal liability?
criminal at this point.
yeah, I mean, but what you're talking about is if the dog is running against a fence and is barking loudly and
People are afraid to walk by,
yeah, that,
or it's chained to the
is-
front door or
that
something.
that is simply just a dog behind a fence.
Okay. All right, so can that be addressed?
I don't know how we
Okay.
would address that.
Okay. All right, that was a question. If people
So,
are
can I just
concerned
ask a
about...
question?
It's not an
of you?
offense that I'm aware of.
Okay.
But do we, I mean, is there any kind of municipal law anywhere that we could look to for direction about increasing safeguards? I mean,
Well, this is kind of what I'm saying. Since
Yeah.
the chief explained that
My sense is that
until something happens,
okay,
what goes on inside your property line,
yeah,
unless it's really, really outrageous, is off
Yeah.
limits.
yeah, okay.
That's my
You're
sense.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, if that dog jumps a fence and attacks someone, then that's another matter.
That is.
think a lot of this comes down to people being responsible. You know, that we can't legislate everything, and you would hope maybe with education that just people would do the right thing. But sometimes that doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't, and then it's an issue of public safety.
But
Because
I
the
think-
number of people who have contacted me about their incidents with dogs.
Is, and you had mentioned, I believe, in an informal conversation, your knowledge of some municipalities who had
Yes,
banned
yes. I think there's
particular kinds
Certain
of
kinds of
dogs.
I think there's approximately 90 presently within New York State.
Heard
Yeah.
that
Big
also.
skill is, yes. Yes.
What-
So that may be worth looking at if we can get enough interest
Right.
to go forward with,
Uh-huh.
because it is surprising. Yes?
There must be some law about dogs attacking people and it being criminal, because there's a gentleman in Peru who's facing charges.
Yes.
He was convicted on those
Yes.
charges too.
He's awaiting sentencing or awaiting trial or something.
So part of that was because there was a previous incident where the dog attacked persons numerous times, and the justice out there heard the dangerous dog petition and deemed it to be dangerous. This person then moved out of that municipality to a different municipality, and there was no way to track if that was the case, that he was abiding by the conditions, which is confined or muzzled in public, and did attack this poor woman and disfigured her. So there was a contempt charge. It was the misdemeanor ag and market section of the reckless endangerment, because he had knowledge of this.
I know
It
general.
was-
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I know generally civilly there's what's called the one bite rule, but it's not typically one bite. But what people think is that if a dog bites someone, then it's known to be dangerous. But even if a dog shows any aggression, you get one free pass. So if you have a dog for a year and it showed no aggression towards anybody, and it somehow acts out and bites someone, then you basically get a pass on that for civil liability. But if the dog has bit someone before, or even if there's evidence at a trial where the dog has been aggressive, like they were saying, running at and aggressively barking, even if there's a fence between, even if it hasn't bit someone, then civil liability can be held if the owner then is negligent. I'm not sure if that's how if it's similar to the agriculture markets law.
But, so I mean, Councilor Dowell's question, that might be more the avenue that, as far as a criminal application, an aggressive dog behind a fence does not rise to but as far as civil liability is concerned, maybe a different case altogether.
Any other questions under new business?
I do think one thing that should come up, if we're talking about dogs and dangerous animals, is, and especially in the public safety hearing, is our police department's training and responses to animals. I think it was maybe 4 or 5 months back that there was an issue in the town of Plattsburgh. It didn't involve our police department, maybe a state trooper, I believe, where a dog was shot and killed. Where certainly the public outcry was definitely indicating that it was not necessary at that time. Certainly the news is full of a lot of examples of, especially with police, with dogs, even if they're not necessarily being dangerous, and on a lot of avenues where there's no knock warrants involved, or interactions with animals on the street, they have a shoot first, ask questions later mentality. And certainly some of those are warranted, certainly some of them aren't, but I do think that if we're discussing the issue of animals and law enforcement, perhaps we should look into what kind of training our police force is getting when dealing with these animals.
Okay. Anything else? There being none, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yeah.
Mayor Reed?
Yes. So now we begin our work session. I believe there may be
Thank
a
you,
need
Chief.
for
Thank you.
Dean?
What was that, Mayor? The line cut out.
Sure, I believe that we'll have a need for a brief executive session.
Yep, that would be on the basis of potential litigation involving the Plattsburgh City Marina.
Great.
I'll make that motion for executive session.
Can you speak louder?
I'll make the
Second.
motion to enter into executive session.
Second?
Mayor, how do you
Second.
want to participate in that?
Does somebody have a telephone?
I have a cell phone.
Okay. Beth, you work with Councilor Armstrong on that?
Yeah, we will.
What am I doing?
You have the mayor's cell phone number?
I do believe
Are you
I
just
do.
FaceTiming her?
We could all leave. No, seriously.
But we're on camera.
Yeah, they're on
That's
there.
right. That's right.
Nice try.
FaceTime.
Nice try, John. Nice try.
FaceTime?
That's a good
He
thing.
doesn't have an iPhone.
Great.
Wait a second.
I mean, listen, I'm-
Mayor, are you gonna Skype or FaceTime?
Skype?
To the one that you got, we're hooked up with?
Yep. And I'll hang up when you're ready. You can dial me.
Okay.
Thanks.
Do you have Skype on your phone though? No. Then you can't do it. Shoot. Okay.
I thought he was going to FaceTime. Sorry.
Just FaceTime.
Just talk.
Just call me.
Oh, so I'm gonna, I'll tell you you're gonna audio.
Anybody gets
Can we turn that AC on over in executive session?
Yeah, because we can't hear, especially with mayor's action, I'm sorry.
Sounds like well running exec.
No,
Let it cool down.
just go.
So what address is he at? I didn't see in the email.
Oh, I sent the email that he was traveling.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I don't know, he didn't tell me where he is. So Dean told me I could just say what I reported on my. If you have any questions, you can email.
I will.
Just ask me questions, I will.
I give these to you for mayor's signature, some finance documents? Oh, sorry. Sorry, at my house.
Thank you.
Thank you. You'll say, there's a line in there somewhere that says signature by mayor, that's what you say.
Okay.
She can bang 3 times on the floor, I'll come back up.
Not 3
Or
times.
did, when these, was this approved already?
Yes.
I'm gonna look here. Does Dean have to look at it?
Do you like the corresponding resolution?
Oh, I can look it up. Oh, you got it in here,
It's,
probably the date.
it says where it says the,
Elizabeth. I approved your request for the.
so it's,
Oh, the soil?
2 weeks.
Two.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Hold on.
Thank you, sir.
I don't think
It's
so.
very sensitive to when I detailed the stuff that I didn't want to talk about, man. So virtually everything.
Nobody
else
asked me
is
anything.
intact, so.
No, Scott,
I
here.
don't know, so I responded back to you,
Cool.
but
No.
I was thinking that you
it
guys
should
were
be
like,
coming your way.
quite as nice over
Are
there.
you gonna be at the board meeting tonight as well?
Where's that?
So they-
Where's my
I
signature?
don't want to barge in there and there, but if you have any questions related to it, feel free to send me an email. I'll do what I can,
Yeah,
for what it's worth.
thanks.
And here we were.
Yes, Joe, let you do all the talking today.
I feel deal with that hog the entire thing. You know?
Yeah,
I think
you
like
should
that's
feel-
everyone.
You should feel bad about that. Not really. That'll be a whole budget meeting too.
Is there any update on that Market Street property?
Me?
Yeah,
Which one?
the Lakeside Apartments?
Update what, well, I mean, the site's been declared clean, so all the hazardous materials have been removed. And they're working on the residential units first. Probably try and sell some of those to generate some income and then do the commercial building in the front.
Are they being responsive to your office?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. It seems like, when was it that it was condemned? 2011? Since 7 years later?
Yeah, the flood was, yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah, went a number of years with the previous owner and, couldn't get much moving there. So, this was really the first guy that stepped forward with a plan. A lot of people didn't think the plan was perfect, but what is the perfect plan? So, if you drive by there, you'll still see some rubble and stuff around, but it's all clean. They're gonna use that for fill. So it's gotta be pulverized though.
I saw one of the buildings there is very close to the eye doctor. Is there any difficulty with them demolishing that building?
That's down,
It is?
yeah.
Okay.
And that, there was difficulty with that, yes. In fact, the eye doctor had very, very strict concerns about that. You know, whatever days they operate on, the 2 or 3 days a week that they actually operate on, they were very insistent that there be no demolition. And so, yeah, this contractor had to work with them on that. So that was the last portion. That's what took the longest. That's all taken care of now.
I remember going to the eye doctor there and looking out the window and seeing the there.
Oh yeah, it was right there, yep.
Yeah. Is the property of Rinkerhoff, I haven't been down there in a while, that burned down in winter, is it still there? Kind of half demolished?
No, that site's been cleared too. The foundation's still there, but it's all been declared clean. So the owner's not sure what he wants to do. I actually don't think he's gonna be able to use that foundation, but he didn't have to remove it, so he didn't.
Are you still busy with Underwood?
Oh, yes.
Never stop.
Oh my God, they demolished 35 trailers down there. 50 rooms so far.
The only thing that I've heard, so there's a young lady that was selling her new trailer apparently. I got some plans on the web.
Said you open the thing and you have to keep it for 10 years or else you have to pay some of that back. And so, she's trying to sell it now. There's no she's trying to pay it all back. So she's trying to sell it for way more than she would have to pay back.
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
They already finished the berm?
No, the room is supposed to be done by November 8th, I think.
Okay.
So it would have been, I mean, in a perfect world, do the room first. But they had a bunch of electrical upgrades to do down there too, so. But it's all said and done. It's gonna be a lot better place.
The good thing out of that situation.
Yeah. And so all the electrical will be new. The berm will be reinforced, will be bigger. And be
Which
better.
was the
Yeah.
issue.
Mhm.
Have you been keeping up on the situation down in Osceola with the Peaceville Civic Center?
No.
No?
saw an article, but I didn't read it, so I'm
Yeah.
curious to see what.
Basically, the town wants to go out for a $4.6 million bond, which, to put it in perspective, is quadruple the town's total budget per year. And they want to use all of it to bring the Keystone Civic Center back up to code. Apparently it's gonna take that much to do that. It was a school back in the 70s and 30s.
I remember using the gym a long, long time ago, but it wasn't functional. It was like, I think back when it was the village offices. But yeah, old.
It's old, and it's just, like, I went through and I like peeked through the windows, and it's just like paint chipping off the walls, there's graffiti, there's an old student's artwork hung on the wall still, but the lower half is torn out. So it just looks like something out of a horror movie in there,
So
but
what do they intend to do with it? Civic Center? Or
it was a civic center, but now they want to bring it up to code, and they're hoping that vendors will come in and rent space. That'll be like a multi-use building. But the $4.6 million is just to bring it up to code. It's just to replace the electrical, the roof, yeah. So it's just, they're gonna vote on it on August 25th. So we'll see what the town wants to do. But people were kind of really angry about it. They didn't want to pay the extra in taxes. So they just, I was talking.
like that's just to get it to be, habitable,
Yeah.
essentially.
That's
Not all the upgrades that would need to take place just to make it, window dressing wise a little nicer.
Yep, that's exactly right. And a resident asked what aesthetic upgrades are going to happen with the 4.6, and the town supervisor just like, yeah, that's what she said.
That's a hard sell.
Yeah, she said whoever moves in there will be responsible for them. So that's kind of a,
Well, you would hope that there has been expressed interest in
Yeah,
using
well,
it
that's
that
the
way.
thing, right? Yeah.
Rather than preemptively do it in the hopes that
Yeah.
somebody would.
yeah.
You have to have some sort of commitment.
Yeah.
They've tried to sell it, but no one wanted to buy it. It's huge. It's 55,000 square feet.
That's like the old headquarters building. So at the very, so right next to Overbrook,
Uh-huh.
the big building. That, it's a,
See, I
it
don't
is
even know
a,
where that is, I've never even been to the.
so we go into it all the time because it's insecure. But like, inside, it's disgusting. It is deteriorating.
Wait, where is this?
So
Oh, you mean building
Commander's
in the
house,
city?
yes.
Right next to the Veterans Park.
Yeah, okay, so Overbrook.
The one that had the stack. that-
Overbrook used to be the firehouse for that.
Yeah,
That's
so the
right,
one
it's right
next to
next
it.
door, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought we were still talking about Keysville.
Oh, okay, sorry. But I'm using that to compare, like, this building and that building, like, it would be the same thing.
Mhm.
Just to clean it, just to make it, like, able
Well,
to walk
that's-
in.
That's
I
exactly.
can't imagine what it would cost.
10 years that, but.
And that's the reason why,
You can't
that's the
get,
reason why it's
first
sat
of
there.
all, office space now, you're not gonna get somebody to take. that
That's
much.
empty for 20-something, since the base closed.
Yeah,
So it's
Okay.
like 20. It's gonna
20
be
years?
20, well, I was married in 25. So it was the same, it was about that year, it was 25 years ago.
So I remember being brand
86.
new and going through there, and
Right.
one of our officers actually served in the Air Force there, and he showed me the bank, and this is a very, very cool building. Showing me the courtroom up there.
Mhm.
But it's just, it's a shame. But it's a lot of money
Mhm.
to make them usable when it's cheaper to just, put up metal studs and retrofit a building.
Yep.
That's what residents said. I sat at a public hearing that lasted like 2 hours, where like 24 residents came, and they were just very angry, and some said, why don't you just demolish it? How much would it cost to demolish it? And the town said, we hadn't even thought of that. They hadn't parsed out how much it could be to demolish it even. They said, oh, Keysville looked at it 10 years ago, and it was like $100,000 then. Who knows how much it's gonna be now?
Right.
And they said, well, why don't we just build a new building? And the architect said, well, new buildings cost a couple thousand per square feet, so we're really getting good money saving a 50,000 square foot building. So, I don't know, it'll be interesting to see what they do with it.
Very interesting.
But there's already empty storefronts in that town, so.
So again, like, where's the line forming to go into this place based on the fact that the businesses that,
Right, that exists everywhere.
yeah, I mean,
But it's kind of unfortunate there because that town doesn't even have a grocery store. So they have to come up here, which is what, like 25 minutes away. Their pharmacy closed in Jay recently, so I don't think they have a pharmacist in that town either. They have one doctor. So that's what residents were sort of saying, like, we have these storefronts, no one wants to come here, it would be nice if we had even like a grocery store. But it's interesting to think about that when we have like 8 here. So thinking about living in a town where you have to drive.
the conveniences that well, like, you know, I don't even have to think about that. I just go down the street. But if you had to build in like a 20-minute drive just to pick up the bare essentials.
Yeah, or even like my brother lives down in Thai, and when his wife was pregnant, they had to think about the drive. The Thai hospital doesn't do maternity stuff, so they had to go to Middlebury to come up to Plattsburgh, and it's sort of like those sort of things that we don't even really think about up here.
True, very true.
Even like 30 minutes away is a problem. But yeah.
And then there's the beach. Imagine having to drive an hour to get to a beach, which a lot of people do. We don't understand.
What was that explaining to? Unpopular opinion. I think the fact that we have that beach is why it's not utilized. Like, if we did not have that beach, people would be lining up to say, we need a beach. You know, it boggles my mind how it is not fighting people to work there and go there. It makes no sense.
It's beautiful too.
I know.
It's clean. I've been out there plenty this summer.
I don't know if it's needs more marketing or branding or what, but.
What's funny is I grew up around here, and my family would always go to Osceola Point. We wouldn't even go to the city beach because it was sort of like regarded as a tourist destination. Like the Canadians would go there, but we would go to Osceola. So I wonder if that still is prevailing now, where locals go elsewhere, thinking that the city beach is like a tourist destination.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
I remember thinking that too.
Well, I don't think anybody thinks it's going to be too crowded anymore. You know, it's not crowded like it used to be.
So, I mean,
for a lot of reasons, but
the younger city residents, they take advantage of it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we go out there for our daily, checks, and there's people there, but they get the benefit of not crowded.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know if you've seen those old photos from like the 50s and 60s of the
I saw one of the beach
You did?
packed.
With like trucks parked
there
on
were
the
cars
beach.
there,
Yeah.
but it was like every square foot was taken.
But the thing is, it was packed, and we had base, because I was on base,
We were
around the
talking about
50s.
this the other
But they
day,
had a
yes.
beach on the base, so it
Did
was
they?
still packed, and the Air Force, we used to use the beach on the Air Force base, the old sailor beach, right? The
Yeah.
one with the concrete thing. Yeah, so that's where we all went as kids. You didn't go off base because it was all there.
Wow.
So that was interesting that it was packed with that, and Osceola Point, it was still packed.
Yeah, and they had go-karts and mini putt.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
On the base?
No,
the
it-
city beach.
That's
I got
city
stung
beach.
by a bee on that mini
The
putt.
go-kart track is still there. You can see it as
Uh-huh.
you drive in. And the mini putt is where the dog park is now.
Yeah.
Right at the
Oh,
beginning.
look at
I remember I
cars.
got stung by a bee, I stepped on that
So-
thing, and then.
That, the building that is actually out there was where they kept, that had something to do with the storage for the stuff that was out there. But yeah, so if you are heading to the beach and you turn right to go to the Civic Center, as you are pointed at the Civic Center, on the right hand, or the left hand side, there's some grassy area, and there, you will see the actual track. It's still, you can use it today.
But did the city own the go-karts?
I don't, no, I think they
It was
probably.
private.
Wasn't it,
Yeah.
it wasn't airborne in those guys, was
I don't think so.
I do remember that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some parent was just concerned about the safety, and that's probably why. But
I can't remember why it stopped going. It was,
Maybe there was concern about safety. Hard to believe that was the reason why the mini bud didn't work though. That was just lack of maintenance, it just.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was private too, right? That was not run by
I
the
don't
city.
think it was, but I can't remember. I know you had to pay. There's a little booth, right?
Hmm?
Pay to go for the
how many holes was it? You remember?
Wasn't very.
18?
Yeah, I don't know, yeah.
I mean,
It didn't have
all the
like,
cement pads were there for a while.
they're still there, the doggy
Okay.
park's still has them.
Yeah, I haven't been there.
But the, I mean, it didn't have all those neat like water features.
Oh, it just was like a
Yeah,
hole
I-
in the ground?
Well, there was concrete and then there was like the green indoor-outdoor carpeting. But you would just go around and do the holes, there wasn't anything neat like characters and all that.
Like the clown face of the
Yeah,
window.
yeah, there's none of that. It was basic.
But if you're going to the beach, like, so I think that's what it was. That was
It's
food.
over in City Beach.
I want to say that was like a snack shop.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
red
All right.
building
And
is
well,
there.
that's where you also bought your, didn't you buy your tickets there for the go-karts?
Probably so long ago, but
Yeah. I'm trying to think, that's probably where it went. I was like, I remember you went and bought tickets there. Maybe that's where you bought the tickets for the go-kart too.
make the beach great again.
Mhm.
It was never. Hopefully they don't see me in the video.
Yeah, well, skin cancer's done a little bit of a number on that. You know, people just don't go stay out in the sun all day. Well, they should.
Is there roller rink still open? Over by the, no?
No.
That's what I thought.
I
That's
used to
where
be on
go.
the base, or over by the bowling alley, right? Roller rink that
Sure.
Drew.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Mr.
yeah.
Drew
Drew.
had.
But,
I remember
it's
that was
for
fun. Yeah.
You had a pretty good thing going there.
The Lake City
You
roller
really
rink,
did.
or, I know
Yeah,
the
Lake
pizza.
City Skate, that's
Lake
what it
City.
was.
The pizza was really good. I remember the kids would go.
Yeah, it's a good place to have kid
Birthday
parties and stuff.
yeah.
He also gave the kids a deal when they had good grades and stuff, so it was
Yeah.
it was a pretty good thing to have kids hanging out there.
Yeah.
Bootleggers, too, in the town.
Yeah, that was a shame.
Where was
That was
that?
nice.
That was where, what is it, Sable Brewing is now?
Oh, yeah.
By the Consumer Square. Yeah. They used to have water boats.
Oh, right. It's all overgrown now back there. Yeah,
Yeah.
that go-karts and,
Adding
oh no, they had water
cages.
boats and mini putt
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
and a batting cage. Right, so it was just, yeah.
I just talked to Terry the other day, he's supposed to be doing mini putt next year.
Back there.
Yeah. Rehabbing it.
That'd be good though.
Yeah.
People look for that. I like mini putt.
It's been here 10 years since the fire. To
Yeah,
get
they
the
say
whole,
finally
to
just
get the
got.
whole thing completely done.
Oh.
9.5 years.
Now that we're talking about it, I wonder what the kids do now. Just for fun, outside, just go to the park.
Good question.
Yeah. Play games on their phone.
Yeah.
I was listening to a news story coming into work today. They were predicting that Generation Z is going to overtake millennials within this year as the most populous age category or generation.
Mhm.
Fantastic.
Guess they're gonna be the tastemakers.
Yes.
Make me feel old, I'm a millennial.
They're gonna revert back to the stuff that we liked when we were younger.
Guess there's still 2 arcades. One in Allen and over at Cumberland 12.
It's kind of sad.
I don't know, I haven't been there forever. these bootleggers. I would go to the local library, Plattsburgh Public Library every summer.
Yeah,
Check
Hang
out
out,
the
hang out downstairs and do.
Yeah,
I used to do that too.
yep.
My mom would bring me there and be like, "You're killing me, buddy."
I was one of those nerds that did the summer trivia club, at the library. So they'd have us read a list of books, and at the end of the summer, they'd have like a quiz bowl to like test our knowledge on the books. That's pretty much it. We go out to Sable Point for the beach.
No, you can go smile.
Yeah. So, yeah. What did you guys do?
So I grew up in Sable, so Keysville was a destination. That's why Keysville is a different place, but it still had a reputation.
Mm-hmm.
So Keysville was more happening than Sable?
Well, when you live in Sable, you want to go to the other place.
Okay.
And if
All right,
you
we
in
get that.
Keysville, you wanted to go
Grass is
elsewhere.
greener over there.
Exactly, exactly. So I mean, the big thing was in Sable, we called it playground, but basically it was a summer program through whatever youth bureau where the Sable Elementary, you could just go play any sport you wanted, and they had organized leagues and
At the school?
So yeah, in the park out there. So baseball diamond, basically the playground.
Adjacent to the school.
Adjacent to it, yeah. But once a year, they would take us up on a field trip to Montreal Expos for a
Oh,
game.
yeah, that was
And
fantastic.
sit, as high up as we could for, $3 tickets.
Yeah.
But it was so fun. I mean, that's what my summers kind of was around. We would go once to Port Douglas Beach.
Where's that?
It's through Keysville towards the lake. If you were to turn at the hardware store in Keysville towards
So
the
yeah,
lake.
where the old grocery store
What's-
was.
is there a chain fenced off area was there industrial or something down there at one point?
So
Yeah.
if you're going down there on the left-hand side, yeah. I don't know what it was.
There's a ram?
Well,
Was there a-
it was for the base. They used
Oh.
to, they used to siphon the oil out in the water, and it used to come up. They had a system out there where.
We went
ship
out there
would-
one day by chance and like this cute little area, and
Yeah.
what's going on here?
A ship would pull up to it, it would take it out and send it up to those tanks, and then they'd do whatever with the tanks. Yeah.
Huh.
That's been down for a while now. Yeah, it's about 5 miles from Keysville Center to Sable. There's a boat launch down there. I mean to Port Douglas. A pretty nice boat launch down there. And a beach.
Then we we went back towards, I think it was Keysville, took a left and then ended up going by some lake and some stream river and ended up, I don't remember, we ended up quite a ways down.
Oh yeah, that's the Mace Chasm Road, I think. That takes you south, and I think it ends up bringing you back to Route 9.
Okay.
They have a museum down there now. It's the Underground Railroad Museum.
What?
Yeah, apparently this area, I'll say Peru in particular, played a big role in the Underground.
Yeah,
Railroad.
no, I've seen the Lake Placid aspect of it.
Yep. It's kind of crazy because not too long ago, there's a place out in Peru called the Carriage House Cooking School, and the owner, Chef Ham, found a leg iron in the Underground Railroad in his attic. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of wild because it's not something that I ever knew about until recently. So yeah.
History around here is pretty fascinating. What
It's
existed
actually-
before us.
Yeah. There's actually there's a tunnel in the middle of, I think it's Keysville, it's called the Green Apple Inn. But there's a tunnel right underneath that they thought that would be like an actual section of the Underground Railroad. Yeah, it's pretty wild. Yeah. I did a story about it, I think 2 weeks ago. I went on the tour and lots of stuff I have no idea at all. Plattsburgh played a role in the abolitionist movement too. Some of the churches up here. Yeah.
they broke them there. I never saw them in operation, but that's, you know, the components were also there, and that's what it was, how it was explained.
We're talking about what we did as kids. I was explaining how summers consisted of playground, which
Oh,
was.
I never had a second one.
So that's-
Do you want to go play with the other kids? I'm like, no, I don't.
You never had to suffer the playground? Is that what you said?
I was a reader, and I'm not a
You still read at the playground, okay?
Oh, did you tell me what playground was?
I touched on it, I didn't go into great
It's like day
detail.
camp. You're trapped there from early in the morning to the afternoon. After elementary school.
Essentially.
Which part? What was it about?
Oh, we went to school, I was here before, so it was at the primary school.
Oh, okay. Yep.
No way. And I got to watch everyone having fun. Like, I was in the swimming pool. I can see you guys. Thanks.
That's right, you would have been right because.
It was on you.
Oh, yeah. Weird animals.
I could hear you from the comfort of the air conditioning of my house.
Big mansion right there.
Yeah. I grew up in
What
Michigan.
was the story with that?
Um,
The home there, occupied?
yeah, over the years it was like.
I know that the doctor guy bought it.
Yeah. He wanted to make like a rehab for famous people. Like, part of the Adirondacks and Dick Drive, Cross.
Yes.
Tommy Cross bought it.
Okay, but when you were kids, was it vacant,
Okay.
haunted?
When, did you meet Derek? Did you meet Derek? Derek Down? Okay, so when we were, I was in sixth grade, so it was fifth or sixth grade, a California family bought it. And they were just living there. So it was a mom and dad, 2 kids in this house. I just remember she had a drum set and a snake, and I wanted to do my best. And
I
so,
can see why.
yeah, so I was like, please let me hang out in your cool, scary house. But they left, like, they stayed there for a year, and then it kind of was empty for a while. And then some random guy bought it when we were in high school.
Tried to buy your coffee, but it was too late.
And I don't,
I asked,
I
I
know
said,
what you're doing,
I
said I got to go
asked.
get that, and he said, take it, or hold on, he said, take only one. I was like, oh.
Excuse me, you should just scoot right in there.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Can you hear us, Mayor?
I can, just fine, thanks.
Okay.
We have a few more minutes in in a work session. Anybody else like to bring up any issues on the agenda?
Oh, someone needs to say we return from executive.
I'm sorry, let's return from executive session. We are discussing an issue of potential litigation regarding the public marine and no action was taken. If anyone would like to offer any council reports, you can do it at this time as well.
Yes, governance strategy and city operations is first on the list. Looks to me like there's consensus about the statement of the problem regarding feral and free roaming cat population. I've sent out a summary of what we all decided that problem was. Just waiting to hear back from people, whether or not that we're ready to go forward. Be working with Councilor Insel to come up with some solutions that will be reflected in the city code. And then I just wondered if I could ask about the DRI and about the consultants who are working on the RFP for the Durkee Street parking lot, and when there'll be some opportunity for city residents to offer input.
Sure, we had a kickoff meeting with Whitenberg, the consultants from Burlington, for the Durkee Street site a week and a half ago. We've been pulling together a significant amount of documentation from regarding the Durkee Street site, studies that have been done, current utility plans and drawings and things like that, everything that they're gonna need in order to have the info that any developer is gonna require. We're still gathering that as we speak. And then there is, built into their scope of work, public input, but we're still working out the schedule with them on a week-to-week basis. I can give you the timeline that was worked out with Empire State Development, was to have a final RFP out, selected, and to have a developer, a recommendation for a developer for the city council by end of November of this year.
Okay, so at what point and to what extent will the public be able to shape the nature of the RFP? Because, I mean, to me, that's, the RFP will attract developers. And so the public needs to be able to weigh in about the nature of that development. What is it going to look like? What do we want there? And so forth. So I would just like to have some more kind of definitive answer about the nature of that public input, how it's going to be organized, and the schedule for it, especially since the RFP is going to need to be accomplished in a relatively short period of time, and, you know, the developer needs to be selected, so.
Right. Yeah, I can get you details on that.
Okay, thank you.
Also related to that, for your governance meeting early in September, I know Ethan and Matt are working hard to have a set of proposals and summary for the parking situation together as well. Good. For your consideration.
That's great. I know that's the kind of like a real prerequisite to all of the other pieces falling into place.
Yeah. Well, it's about time to begin then. Let's call the meeting of the council to order, and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilor Armstrong, could you begin?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And roll call.
Mayor Reed?
Present.
Councilor Armstrong?
Here.
Councilor Kelly?
Here.
Councilor Dowdle?
Here.
Councilor Ensel? Councilor McFarland?
Here.
Councilor Kretzer?
Just a couple of comments for you. First of all, a very successful beach season is coming to a close pretty soon. Luke Jenks did an admirable job to put everything together out there this season. Of course, as you know, he's the temporary worker. He'll be moving on. I hope he can return and serve the city at some other time in the future, but I really want to thank him for all the work. I think there's tremendous progress at the beach this summer by almost all accounts, and I really appreciate his work. And I saw on your committee agenda earlier for the beach closing, Battle of Plattsburgh is coming up, and I ask all of us and any department heads to do whatever they can to support Tara Powers and her efforts. She's working incredibly hard right now to hold all together, and I know the city always comes together for the Battle of Plattsburgh, so I thank her and I thank all the department heads for contributing and helping out. We'll hear a little bit more about that next week as well. That's all I have for you now.
Resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of the Common Council held on August 16, 2018 are approved and placed on file among the public records of the city clerk's office.
Moved by Councilor Armstrong and seconded by Councilor Kelly. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolved that the payrolls of the various departments of the city of Plattsburgh for the week ending August 22nd, 2018 in the amount of $98,976.99 are authorized and allowed, and the mayor and the city clerk are hereby empowered and directed to sign a warrant drawn on the city chamberlain for the payment thereof.
Moved by Councilor Kelly and seconded by Councilor Dowdle. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Got in your packets, and you had a little bit of discussion in your committee meeting report on parking.
Yeah, I did want to add to that committee's work. I met with Councilor Dowdle and spoke to Councilor McFarland regarding the proposed local law regarding cryptocurrency mining operations in the city of Plattsburgh. And we have a concern that the entire law really devotes itself only to safety and energy consumption, but it doesn't have anything in it to provide for restrictions on the growth of that industry. We're concerned that even if we are charging, there is a tariff associated with the operation of those kinds of entities, that really we have an effect. There is an effect on our municipality's consumption of energy that's influenced by that greater consumption that they, are engaged in. So we would like to explore what kinds of restrictions on the growth of that industry that we can put into this law.
Dean, would you like to comment?
Yeah, the law has not yet been formally introduced, so
Okay.
I would suggest we talk, it's not up for discussion yet, it's not been introduced, or we haven't had the public hearing yet.
Right.
So it'd be premature to have that open discussion yet of that proposal.
No, I'm not.
But if that's-
I'm just saying the content that we're interested in, we'd like to relay to you.
Yeah, so yeah, I would suggest a note to myself or the mayor's office, and then
Okay.
we can go from there. Thanks.
Very good.
What would you like in the note?
Whatever your thoughts were on the very preliminary draft. that
The
was-
very, yes. And any future thoughts on that, or just what it's addressing now
Any
is the
thoughts?
public
Yeah,
safety?
the council's developing policy, so any thoughts?
What
at
we
all
want in this law.
on
Above and beyond public?
anything you want.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else from governance, Councilor Armstrong? City infrastructure, Councilor Ensel, or the vice chair on that?
No updates at this time on the infrastructure committee.
Okay. Finance and budget, Councilor Kelly?
I'd just like to remind my fellow councilors that we will be receiving the mayor's budget soon, I'm sure, and that we should all prepare to, in our role as committee chairs, to make sure that the departments that we serve are also served by the budget, and that we've had sufficient input from those departments, and that we are ready to move forward with budget hearings. So we plan to do that in conjunction with our monthly committee meetings. So everyone, I'd like for you to start thinking about how we do that and make sure we're ready to go. I'd like to see us pass a budget perhaps no later than October 15th. I think that'd be a good target date. Any questions?
I do. Oh, since you anticipate we're soon to receive this, what is the input so far from the department heads on the budget?
We're having 3 2-hour sessions next week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We're just trying to organize and make sure that the department heads can attend those. And as I mentioned last week, I'd really like for the counselors in charge of those various departments also attend if they can. Beth can share with you the tentative times we're trying to schedule this, but it's good for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday with 3 various groups, and then follow up with individual departments as necessary. And then the springboard will be the following week. You can, if you wish, take up your first committee considerations of budgets in open session as well.
So the meetings are next week. I've already got my week plan.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah, so
At least a
it's a
couple
little
of
short notice.
Okay, all right.
It is, and we're just trying to work out today that schedule. And Beth can give you a little bit more update on that. And my goal was to get the budget out by the end of August. And you know me about goals, I'm still aiming for that. If it slips a week and if that would work out better for you, we could discuss that. But we're going to try to get as much work done next week, at least with the 3 consolidated groups, knowing that there still may be more individual discussion with departments after that. So there's still maybe a little bit more time if you wish.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, will the department heads have provided information before those meetings, or is that when they're going to provide it?
They've been provided information already from Richard Marks, who's been working closely with them. So these are extended meetings, 2-hour meetings to go over all that data, hear the various perspectives, and do some adjustments at that time.
All right, and I'll ask Richard, this is your first year without a deputy chamberlain doing the budget. Is that going to influence the budget preparation, or?
No.
No?
I usually do it myself.
Okay. So if you had no help, you could still do it by yourself?
I've always done the budget
Okay,
myself.
all right. So it's not a staffing issue then?
No.
Okay,
No, the staffing issue is keeping up with the transactions day to day.
okay.
So we still need one staff person to get back to keeping up with those transactions.
Okay. Yep.
And that'll be in your budget request for this year, right?
No, we're trying to hire someone right now.
No.
Good.
Because you've hired one, and you referred to this as the other
Lost a
half.
person July 2nd, and, you know, that's prevented us from taking care of some of the higher level accounting issues, because we're still dealing with a lot of the payables requirements. So we still need another person right now to keep up with the daily transactions.
Anything else from finance and budget?
Not at this time.
Public safety, Councillor Dowdle?
Okay, we, moments ago, had our public safety meeting. Most of the committee discussion was moving agenda items to the business meeting. We have 6 items that look like they're going to be passed on. Most of it has been travel requests, and one lengthy one is the special events coordinator has asked for street closures for the Battle of Plattsburgh.
Thank you. Public library, Councillor Armstrong?
No updates, meetings next week.
And MLD, Councillor McFarland?
Yes, there's no updates at this time, but I will note that we're having our next meeting on August 30th, and that will take place at 4:30 before the city council meeting. Oftentimes MLD meetings take place after council meetings, but this month we have 5 council meetings in the month, so we will be doing it at 4:30 when there's no other committee meetings.
Okay.
Thank you. Resolved, the report says hereby ordered received and written reports are placed on file among the public records of the city clerk's office. Moved by Councillor McFarland, second by Councillor Armstrong. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? As there's no correspondences or at this time, please continue.
Resolved that the bills ordered by the Common Council for the week ending August 24th, 2018 in the amount of $1,014,244.12 are authorized and allowed, and the mayor and the city clerk are hereby authorized and directed to sign warrants drawn on the city chamberlain for the reading thereof.
Moved by Councillor Kelly and second by Councillor Armstrong. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? This is an opportunity for any of the members of the public to please come forward and address the council. For this opportunity, we ask you to confine your discussion to items on the agenda. There will be another public comment period at the end of the meeting as well. I believe I'm seeing none. Is that correct?
You are not seeing any. Yes, that is correct.
Well, let's continue. Thank you.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the Common Council approves renewing
I'd like to waive the reading and move the motion, and I would also like to go from 7A, B, C, D. Oh, no, all right, excluding D and include E as one.
It's moved by Councillor Dowdle, second by Councillor Armstrong. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Discussion of the items themselves. They all were thoroughly discussed in committee. Seeing none, roll call.
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Your appointment.
We would do D.
That brings us down to D. The mayor hands down the reappointment of Ronald Daragon to the Board of Assessment Review for a 5-year term commencing October 1, 2018, expiring on September 30th, 2023. Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Yes.
Resolved in accordance with the request, therefore the common council approves.
I'd like to make a motion to waive the reading, move the motion rather, on A and B as well.
Moved by Councilor Dowdle, second by Councilor Armstrong. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Discussion on item from your committee.
Did you oppose?
Yes. He wasn't at the meeting, so.
Oh, okay.
I have a discussion. So these are, the travel requests are being done from the asset forfeiture fund. What is that at now, the asset forfeiture fund? Is it still like 160?
About 151 right now, so this will take it down to about 140.
And has there been any inputs into the asset forfeiture fund lately?
Not lately. It happens periodically whenever there's assets seized and allocated.
And how do assets put into the asset forfeiture fund? Are those allocated between other governmental departments?
Chief knows more about that than I do.
Can you ask your question again?
Yes, our asset forfeiture funds, they come from when assets are seized from criminal activity. Are those assets shared with other governmental departments as well?
Yes.
Oh.
And what are the other governmental departments that they're shared with?
The DEA, the state police, the Clinton County Sheriff's Department, agencies that are involved in this federal sharing program.
Mhm.
Not necessarily from a singular incident, but it really depended on a lot of different things.
And does
But-
this, sorry,
But there are other agencies that do participate in this.
and does the city only get a cut from any assets seized in the city, or is it, are there funds being taken in from seizures outside of the city as well?
I would guess that there are some that take place out of the city because we are part of a joint task force, DEA, but I couldn't competently answer that for you.
Okay.
That would be my guess.
Any further discussion?
Chief, you will be going to Orlando, Florida, I
Yes.
imagine. And who are the two other officers that will be going with you?
My assistant and our procurement specialist.
Very nice.
Further discussion? Roll call?
Counselor Armstrong?
Yes.
Counselor Kelly?
Yes.
Counselor Dowdle?
Yes.
Counselor McFarland?
Are there any resolutions for initial consideration?
You said yes?
Yes.
Then both A and B, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just get all that.
Are there any resolutions for initial consideration at this time? Any new business or additional council reports?
Yes, I forgot to mention that our esteemed Counselor Kelly put the straw ban survey into Survey Monkey form. And you want to comment on that?
Well, last week, the council passed a resolution to publish a survey on our website to gauge community interest in banning plastic straws and other forms of disposable plastic. Since that passed, I volunteered to create a survey, so that's done, and it's been tested, and I think it looks really good. But it will go on the website with your permission, Mayor, if I may ask Beth to do that for us. We're ready to do it.
Thank you for doing that.
My pleasure.
Yes, thank you very much, Councilor Kelly.
So I will send that to you tomorrow morning, Beth. And one other thing, I keep thinking about how hard our employees have worked this summer. I'm particularly thinking about the public works people. They have taken on the difficult task of paving, and I don't believe we've done much of that in-house in recent years. And they rose to the challenge, and I understand there was a whole lot of overtime involved, and we're happy to have those employees, of course, and we are rewarding them, of course, with payroll and overtime pay, and that's all well and good, but I'd like to try to think of some additional way to reward them for their service if we could. And that is not to demean any of our other city departments. In fact, I think everybody's working really hard from what I can tell, but these guys paving the roads did it in very hot conditions, one of the hottest summers we've ever had. And I'm in extreme admiration of the work they've done. So I'd like for the council to perhaps think about some way to reward them, such as a nice letter of recognition to go in their files, perhaps, if you think that's appropriate. So please think about that, and we'll discuss it in a future meeting. Thank you.
Yeah, no, sentiment too. I appreciate it. Any other council report? Please enjoy the murals going up. You approved the other week the mural in behind the kiosk. It's really beautiful, and one you see up on the wall there. And we certainly thank Outside Art and Amy Guglielmo and her team for helping put all that together. It really adds a lot to our downtown. Seeing no other reports, can I ask for any additional public comments on any issue of mutual concern? If I'm seeing none, a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Councilor, second by Councilor Dowdle. Roll call?
Councilor Armstrong?
Yes.
Councilor Kelly?
Yes.
Councilor Dowdle?
Yes.
Councilor McFarland?
Yes.
Thank you very much, folks. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Tobacco-free, think you should put cigarette butts on there.
Yes. Billy.
I figured I'd throw that out, but it didn't.
Well, and you weren't here, but was it week
last
before last, did you see Chris Gillen come up and ask that smoking be banned at city events?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. It's just, his name is Chris Gillen.
Hi.